name's Bernice, and welcome to my podcast. I'm so glad you decided to join me today. On today's podcast, we're going to be talking to Paige Scott from San Francisco. She has just been in almost every avenue of the skating world, and I'm so excited for you to get to hear our conversation. So sit back, grab a mug of your favorite beverage, and listen to this week's episode of On the Ice with Bernice. And remember, everyone is welcome on the ice. Well, I'm so excited because today we have with us Paige Scott from San Francisco, and I'm just so excited to hear more about your journey on the ice.
Well, thank you for having me, Bernice.
Well, I'm just happy you're here. Well, Paige, let's just start with who you are and where you have found a place for yourself in the world of skating.
Well, I started skating when I was 18 months old.
Oh, my goodness.
My mother was an ice volley skater, and my father was a stagehand with the ice volleys, and so was my grandfather. So I was very fortunate that I got to go and skate on the ice at Winterland in San Francisco after an ice volleys performance when I was very little, with those little double runner skates that tie onto your shoes.
Oh, I love that. And, for the people out there who don't know what the ice follies are or is, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Shame on them if they volleys are. The ice volleys was the glamour of glamour ice shows way back. And my mom joined in 1959. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, ice volleys was 1939, I believe, something like that. And it was just a variety show that showcased all the amazing talent of figure skating around the world. And then they closed, and I was fortunate to join Ice Capades.
Well, that sounds just like a nice transition. So how long did you stay with the Ice Capades?
I was in Ice Capades for 2 years. And then I ventured out into small production companies. And then I dabbled in choreography a bit. And then I started wanting to know more about the behind the scenes and how it worked with installation of ice and cameras and lights and all the fun stuff. And so I started getting into producing. So I was producing and directing and choreographing probably by the time I was about 25.
Oh, wow. So it sounds to me, did you ever compete on the ice?
I did. I had a very small competitive career. I competed when we had figures. Remember those eights that
Oh, yes.
we used to have? That's how old I am. And I competed in a preliminary level, and that I got last in figures and first in freestyle. And I was about 12 years old. And by then, if you didn't have all your doubles, you were done. So I turned professional at 13 years old, skating on plastic ice, because I loved the show and the glamour and the glitz. The competing against my friends really didn't tickle my fancy much.
That's understandable. So what's it like skating on plastic ice?
Well, if it's nice on ice, it's fantastic on plastic. No, that was our old motto. It is challenging. You have to be very adaptable. You have to be good in your knees. You have to be able to dance on your toe picks a lot. I was fortunate to be hired to go to the Lillehammer Olympics and skate on plastic ice in the Sonia Henne Ballroom for the John Hancock Corporation. They had a large party for all of the people who couldn't get tickets to the women's figure skating event. And if you remember, that was the big Nancy Tanya event with Oksana Bayul. So that was wonderful. It was very, very exciting. I flew 40 hours, skated for 10 minutes, and came home.
Oh my goodness. But for an event like that, it'd be worth it.
It was amazing. What an experience. I can say I skated at the Lillehammer Olympics.
Absolutely. And how many people can say that?
The three other people that were with me.
Oh my goodness. And I love that, you're still in the skating world, even though you're not a competitive skater, and you have been for your whole life pretty much.
No, I've always loved the shows and the performing, and I like the coaching aspect of it, and not the technical competitive end of it, but the light entertainment and the dramatics and the spotlights that ISI has to offer, and theater on ice that USFS has to offer. I like both organizations very much, and the part of watching it all just come together is pretty magical. I'm very fortunate.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people might feel like they have to choose between USFS or ISI, and what I love about you is you kind of do it all.
Oh, yeah. I think there's a place for skating for everyone, and that both organizations have great programs. And I think it depends on what track you want to go to or where you're located in the country, what's easily accessible, and you don't have to travel too far. So I love it. There's a place for everyone in skating.
Absolutely. That's my motto. Everyone is welcome on the ice. There is a place for you
Exactly.
here.
Yeah.
Now, tell us how you got into coaching. So you were in shows, you started at 13 or 14, which is just crazy. I love it. And then you got into the behind the scenes, the producing, and I bet you'll just learn so much into that. Now how does the coaching element fit in?
Well, I started when I started choreographing into shows and teaching people the numbers in the show and new skaters that would come in, we'd rotate people in or out and creating them. I guess that is sort of a portion of coaching. And then I was fortunate to skate professionally here in the Bay Area for Great America, which is an amusement park. And we did that about 8 months out of the year. And then we were skating at the Charles Schultz Arena in Santa Rosa, California, for the winter months. So I was fortunate to be stationed at home and skating professionally almost all year long. And in the downtime, I went to my local ice rink and I started dabbling in choreographing programs for coaches and helping produce their shows. And it manifested.
Yeah, and I guess you just take it one step at a time.
And it's so fun that kids I used to choreograph and coach are now in the shows and they're
Mm,
skating professionally. So
yeah.
it's very rewarding.
Oh, I'm sure. And I guess did that flow into you starting, well, I guess let me ask it this way. Um, how did you get into precision or synchro?
Oh, synchro. Well, being in the ice capades and skating in the chorus line is the first start. But I actually choreographed a precision team and coached them when I was about 14, 15 years old
Oh
at
my
my home rink.
goodness.
Yes, there was going to be a show, and my mother asked if I would put together a number, and she gave me 14 skaters, and that was my first dabble into precision skating.
I
And
think I would have loved to have met 14-year-old you.
I was a little crazy, very energetic.
Well, I think I'm the same. I love that.
Yes, it's very exciting. And then, so after I turned 18 and went on the road for several years, when I came back home and started settling down, the skating school director at the time asked if I would coach a precision team. So I started with that and I coached it with two other wonderful coaches, Jan Luff and Jennifer Lynn Murray, who is now Jennifer Siebold. And then we went to a few competitions and the team grew. And then I was also a skating director in San Francisco at a outdoor holiday ice rink. And I had met a gentleman who saw me carrying my skates, and he said, "Where's there an ice rink?" I said, "Oh, at the waterfront." And he said, "I'm building an ice rink." I was so excited. I'm like, "Where?" And he took me on a tour of a building in San Francisco that this week, is now my 25th anniversary as the general manager of that
Oh,
facility.
wow. Well,
So
congratulations.
thank you. The team that I was coaching at the time, we had moved to the San Francisco rink. It was brand new. There was plenty of ice, and I invented the tremors with another wonderful skating mom. So we had the San Francisco Tremors, and they are still in existence, still competing in USFS and ISI. And they have a great organization and a wonderful background.
That's just wonderful. I'm going to have to go look them up and see if there's a video I could watch because I'd love to watch that. Well, all right. So we've talked about your synchro and your shows and all that, but I found out about you from the San Francisco Ice Theater. Tell me more about that.
The San Francisco Ice Theater was founded about 13 years ago. I think this is going to be our 13th or 14th anniversary, with who I call my skating husband, Louis Vachon, who we met in Ice Capades when we were 18 years old. And who would have thunk how many years later we have a beautiful skating company? He knew I had a background in team teaching, and he had been approached to choreograph for an ice theater team that a group of parents wanted to start. And then he asked me if I would join them. So we did, and we started with just 17 skaters, and it was quite a learning experience. The team aspect was nothing new to me, but adventuring into the theater world of theater on ice, that was very new to us, and what it required and what a choreographic exercise was, we really didn't have any idea. And if I'm not mistaken, there wasn't much internet back then, so these routines were not readily accessible. I don't think they had YouTube yet. That's how old we are. Then about 3 years later, we ended up getting a novice team, realizing we need a feeder team to help with the junior team. And then the next thing we knew, a couple of years later, then there was a preliminary team because there were so many people wanting to join San Francisco Ice Theater. So we started a preliminary team, and then we had the preliminary, novice, and junior. And then about 2 years later, skaters from our very first and second year came back as adult skaters and said, "We want to skate theater again." So they rallied up a bunch of wonderful adults, and we now have our fourth theater on ice team with the adult SFITA.
My goodness. Now, how do you keep up with all those teams?
We have amazing parents. We have a wonderful company manager, Jessica Palmer, and previously Doris, who just held our hand. We've gone through a few company managers, and they've all been amazing. They've kept great records for the next person who takes over. We have wonderful parents. We require them to volunteer at least 20 hours a season, just like they do in school for their children. And we have a great costume group, and we have a great food group. We've got a great accountant. So together, everyone achieves more, no pun intended.
Yeah, and I mean, it sounds like, I know you said company, but when you're listing off all the names of all those people, on your team, like that's a company. It's not just, I mean, it is for fun, but at the same time, like, you're running a business.
It is a fun business. It can also be very tedious, and it has its ups and downs, and no team skates without some sort of drama.
That's true.
Yes. figure skating and drama kind of go hand in hand. Well, a lot of sports
Unfortunately.
do. Many sports do.
Yes, that is
So,
true.
but 2 years ago, that's a year ago, my skating husband, Louis Vachon, moved to Canada, his hometown in Quebec. So he flies out once a month now to come and work with us. And we do video so that he's still involved.
Wow.
And we've been very fortunate to bring another beautiful skater on board to help us with all that, Beata Handra, who's a former Olympic ice dancer.
My goodness. Oof. Well, I'm glad that he can still be a part of the team because I don't know. It sounds to me that he's essential to the San Francisco Ice Theater.
He is key. He is so talented. Yes. We are very fortunate that he is making the trek across the country to do it.
Absolutely.
Well, it's kind of he and I's baby as well.
I mean, absolutely. And, I guess now it's a teenager or a preteen. So, you've been with it for so long that I think it'd be hard to let go. Now, tell me who like handles the choreography, who does the costuming, who's in charge of all of that in this relationship?
Well, it's a joint effort. My knees aren't so great anymore. So Louis does about 80-90% of the choreography. Beata is very, very talented as well. And I do well with formations and what I want to see. So collectively, we do all that together. I handle all the music editing and traditionally come up with the costume theme. We work together on that. The CE is a very important element with Theater on Ice. And the three of us, really have to put our heads together, and we do our little get together online, our Zoom, and discuss thoughts and ideas and collaborate to make it wonderful. And then there's the costume aspect after we come up with a theme. And sometimes I'll go through my warehouse of costumes and it'll spark an idea, or I'll hear a piece of music and it'll spark an idea. And then you just build on it from there. You really have to think it all the way through so that you have a beginning, a middle, and an end to a creation.
Right. And it sounds like you got a good team of people to bounce those ideas around with. We
do. And we all have our growing pains. We don't always agree on everything. I'll tell the kids to go this way and do that. And Louis will go, no, go this way and that way. But that's a perfect marriage.
Yep. And, that's life. So you just got to figure out how to handle that and still be friends and still be able to work together.
Yes. And be able to hug each other at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Now, I also understand that you're the general manager, and I know we talked about this a little bit, but a general manager of an ice rink. And I want to hear more about that. But before we do, how do you fit all of this stuff in?
Well, there is 24 hours in the day.
That's true, but I like to sleep for at least half of it.
Yes, I didn't really wake up till about 8 o'clock this morning because I was having crazy dreams. I'm very fortunate that I have a lot of help and very talented people who work at my current ice rink, the Yerba Buena Ice Skating and Bowling Center in San Francisco. We are on the roof of the Moscone Convention Center.
Oh, wow.
And we are the first rink in San Francisco. Skating had been dormant in San Francisco for 25 years. And so we were the first rink back. And it is just a magnificent facility. If you get the opportunity to visit our website at skatebowl.com, because we're also a 12-lane bowling center.
Oh, wow.
We have about 28 coaches. We have 30 adult hockey teams. We have 8 traveling hockey teams. We have 4 to 5 synchro teams. We have about 650 in a skating school on a busy given season. We have public skating, and we have a large adult skating family. It is a busy rink. We are open from 6 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning till approximately 1 a.m., 7 days a week.
Oh, my goodness.
So we have approximately 70 employees. And I always say, hire your weaknesses. So that's why I have 70 employees.
Hey, well, that makes sense. And I'm glad you're honest, because I bet that means you get a lot more done.
Well, we do. And I'm very fortunate that everybody we work with is very dedicated. Um, you get employees in an ice rink that are there for a while or a season, but our key people are so dedicated to what they do. And it's because they're lifers like myself and you.
Mm, that is true. I think when you do it for a while, you just there's a part of you that just doesn't want to leave because you have too many friends and too many memories, and I think over time your love for the ice just gets bigger and bigger.
It's a passion. That,
Absolutely.
that kind of passion is pretty deep. I really don't have any other hobbies except maybe going to NASCAR races with my husband. We really enjoy that. And we love Lake Tahoe and our beautiful dog Stella. So that's part of my passion as well. But the skating thing, I've always done it. I did a little bit of cheerleading, did a little bit of dance, but I never had any other major hobby. It was always about skating. And I always knew what I wanted to be when I grew up, and it involved skating.
Hmm. Well, I just love to hear that because I think some people find it early and some people find it late, but I'm just glad that people who have a passion for the ice get to be in this world. Now, I got I think two more questions for you.
Okay.
And the first is, because I think you're a good person to ask this, what do you like about ISI and what do you like about USFS?
ISI, inclusion, not exclusion. And that there is room for everybody, every level, every type of skater, whether it be just compulsories or a couples spotlight or a skating on a team. I love that in ISI, when you go to a synchro competition, your team can enter more than one event. You can have a compulsories program, you can have a formations program, and that when you go to that competition, there are two rounds. There's the first round, and in the second round, they take the teams who placed in the top four and they divide them into how many skaters are on your team as well. If it's a small group, a medium group, or a large group, all the large groups compete against each other, all the mediums, and then they take the top four of each level, and then the bottom four of each level, or depending on how many are in that event, and then they compete against each other again.
Mm.
So there's a round two. So you're not flying all the way across the country to skate a 2-minute program and say, thank you, okay, we're done. There's more out there for it. And then with US figure skating, I love the fact that there are so many avenues for the person who is a competitive person and they want that competitive track. And if the Olympics or a national level is their goal, that's the track you should take.
Mm.
And all sports are very dedicated to get to that one spot. And I think that with US figure skating, there are 3 spots on that podium. And I like that in ISI, they give medals to the first 6 placements. And that if there are more skaters than that, anybody from 6th and below tie at 6th place.
Mm.
It does not go down to 7, 8, 9, 12, 14, 22.
Right.
I like it that it caps at 6.
Mm.
And I like that ISI is a recreational organization and there's a spot in it for everyone. And that US figure skating has a beautiful tier program on excelling to the next level if that is your skating goal. I like that everybody has different skating goals.
Right. Because we're all different and everybody's journey is going to look different just because we're all different people. And I agree with you. I'm glad that there is a place in the skating world that you can be recreational and that's okay. And that's very good.
I agree.
Absolutely. Um, And as you are, the general manager of a rink and you're a coach, et cetera, if somebody is wanting to be a coach, what advice would you have for them?
I would say go to your local skating director and ask them how they might learn to become a coach. Ice skating rinks across the country are in need of beginner coaches, and shadowing with an instructor in their Learn to Skate program, no matter if it's IS or US. Start shadowing with good coaches, learning how to teach the tots. Start from the ground up. Don't go out there and think, okay, I'm going to teach you how to do an axel. You need to know where to start, and starting from the very beginning of putting your hands on your knees if you think you're going to fall, how to fall down and get up, how to march across the ice, and then slowly starting to glide. That is the best place to start. And learning how to be animated with your students, not just very monotone and I'm going to go teach my class. You've got to be animated. Keeping kids' attentions these days is very difficult.
Yes.
With all the electronics out there. And
Absolutely.
They have to start engaging with you and calling them by their first name. And wow, they know my name. And also engaging with the parents and not just standing around telling them what to do. Demonstrate it. Don't keep your hands in your pockets. Keep them out. There are all kinds of different learners, and there's all kinds of different teachers. So you have to find your path. But going to your local ice skating rink and speaking to your skating director of, I want to learn how to coach. Also, you can go to the governing bodies of ice skating, ISI and USFS, and they will have intro to coaching ideas, learning how to become a coach. Start reading your material. And there are levels that you can take in your testing and classes that you can take to become a better coach. You just start from the beginning.
Well, I who is it? Julie Andrews. It's a very good place to start.
I love her.
Oh, me too.
Small, quiet detail. When the Sound of Music opened in San Francisco back in 1965, my father was a stagehand with the production at the time. And they took months to set this and load this in, and the rehearsals and everything. And the night it opened, I was born. So my father was not there for opening night.
My word. Well,
small,
very small world. Wow. That is, what a story. What a day to be born. Oh, I love it. Oh my goodness. Well, Paige, thank you so much. I got one more question for you. Who do you know that I should interview next?
Ooh, I think you should interview Sherry Haywood Jude, who is the skating director in Yorba Linda, California. You should definitely get a hold of Sherry Haywood Jude.
All right. Well, I'll get my manager, Anna, to message you about connecting us up, and I'm looking forward to it. Well, Paige.
Thank you so much, Bernice.
Yes, thank you so much for this. And I absolutely enjoyed getting to know your history from 18 months old until today of being on the ice. And I just wish you all the best, and I hope to meet you in person soon.
Bernice, thank you for doing this. The skating world really, really appreciates you.
Oh, well, thank you. All right. Well, bye now.
Have a nice day.
Thank you for listening to this episode of On the Ice with Bernice. On today's episode, we talked with Paige Scott from San Francisco about all the different things she's done in the world of skating since she was 18 months old. How awesome was that? Hey, can you do me a favor? Can you like, comment, and subscribe to my podcast? This really helps podcasts like me get going. This episode was researched and produced by Anna Blankenship, edited by Lizzie Walker, and hosted by me, Bernice. And remember, Everyone is welcome on the ice.